The AI recorder is already recording on its own. Good evening, distinguished members of the Nigeria Academy of Letters, the fellows, the members. I think is it the penultimate one for this session?
Yes.
Of our dialogue series.
Yes, we have one more roundtable.
One more roundtable, and we've had a very interesting period this year with our dialogue sessions. You know, when we started with Professor Additional chairing the committee, and we did so well, I thought we could never get better. It's never, but never say never when it comes to now. Professor Albert has taken it to a different level. I really appreciate what you've done. We'll still have time to thank you later, particularly during the last session. And I will be thanking you especially when I'm giving my, what do you call it, presidential talk during my presidential report during the AGM. But I must appreciate to openly now. But today is our session on issues in the reintegration of deradicalized Boko Haram returnees in the Northeast, in Northeast Nigeria. Our speaker is Professor Jude Momodu, and I've seen his icon on the platform, so it's online.
Yes.
And the chairman, appropriately for today, is Professor Tayo Adesina. I'm not saying he's a deradicalized Boko Haram man. He apparently understands and can chair this session. So I'll hand over to him to coordinate this program as we start this evening. I welcome everybody, Professor Dejide, Professor Suguru, Professor Badijo, and Professor Da Silva, and all other members, Professor Noah Echa, and all the others. I really appreciate you. Professor Additional, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you very much, sir. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I once again welcome you on behalf of the President, Professor Shola Akanyade, FNAL, and the Chairperson, Seminars, Workshops, and Roundtables Committee, Professor Isaac Olawale Albert. Today we have someone who has served in several high-level policy and research capacities within Nigeria and the Sahel region. And so it's my pleasure to welcome Professor Momodu Abdul Karim Jude, who is a professor of peace and security studies and the current director, Center for Peace and Security Studies, Modibbo Adama University, Yola, Adamawa State. He's a security and peace building specialist and a council member, as well as fellow of the Institute for Criminal Justice and Crime Administration, Nigeria. He is also a fellow and second vice president, Society of Peace Studies and Practice, as well as a member of the Nigerian Army Resource Center. In addition, he is also a member of the Institute of Chartered Mediators and Conciliators. Momodu is a core peace building practitioner and a seasoned researcher in peace and security studies. He has an excellent track record in the management of peace building projects funded by UNICEF, United States Institute of Peace, USIP, British Council under the Managing Conflict in Nigeria Center for Humanitarian Dialogue, the Geneva, Northeast Regional Initiative, Northeast Development Commission, World Bank Multi-Sectorial Crisis Recovery Project, Adamawa State. So he's somebody who is not only a theoretician, but somebody who is also a worker in the field. Apart from that, he's also a member of the Civil Society and Legislative Advocacy Center German Corporation for International Cooperation, and many others. Professor Momodu has published in several reputable local and international journals. In fact, he is an editorial member of the Journal of African Politics, University of Dodoma, Tanzania, and the Journal of the Society for Peace, Studies and Practice, Ibadan, Nigeria. So, Professor Momodu, I welcome you on behalf of the fellows and members of NAL. You have 40 minutes for presentation, and we are going to have 40 minutes plus for Q&A. Professor Momodu, you have the floor.
Thank you very much, sir. And let me use this opportunity to thank Nigerian Academy of Letters for this great privilege for me to share the research I conducted on issues in the reintegration of Boko Haram returnees in the Northeast. In particular, the research focuses on the two states affected by the Boko Haram insurgency, that is Borno, which is the epicenter of the insurgency, as well as Adama. Although there are three states, but the destruction in Yobe is not as severe as that of Borno and the Adama state. So that's why this research focuses on Adama and Borno state. The content of the presentation, as you can see, there's introduction. I'll be starting with introduction, then objectives of the research, motivation for the research, methodology, results and discussion, conclusion, then key recommendations. As you can see, this is the map of Nigeria showing Yobe, Borno, and Adama state. There are states that are contiguous, states that are very close. They share border together. They share culture and tradition, religion, and so many things together. As I said, this research is focusing on the two states, Borno and Adama state. Boko Haram insurgency actually started in 2009, and since 2009, the insurgency has been raging on, although we have seen a reduction in terms of the severity of attacks of Boko Haram since it started in 2009. And the insurgency has led to huge destruction in the three states of Borno, Adama, and Yobe state that are fondly called the base states. And it has also provoked a lot of huge humanitarian crisis. At a point in 2015, about 2.3 million people were displaced in these three states. And the insurgency has also had a spillover effect in Nigeria's near neighbors of Cameroon, Niger, and Chad. In particular, the insurgency escalated to these three countries in 2014. And since 2015, 2016, we see a lot of military deployment and intensification of the counterinsurgency operations from this state, particularly Nigeria, which is the epicenter of the insurgency. And that has led to great improvement in terms of security in these states that were mostly affected by the insurgency. And that has also led to a situation whereby government has come up with programs to reintegrate IDPs and Boko Haram back into the community. But for the purpose of this research, we are going to be focusing on the reintegration of Boko Haram. Now, in returnees, now who are Boko Haram? Who are the Boko Haram returnees? They are people that have been, whether people that are forcefully conscripted or people that are ideologically aligned to the ideology of the sect, whose major plans is to is that the secularity of Nigerian state is rejected. Democracy is also not is tagut, and everything that has to do with the government of Nigeria is also un-Islamic. So the improvement in security in these three states has also, as I said, has led to deliberate attempt to reintegrate members of the sect that have surrendered. In 2015, the German government, working with the Nigerian government, came up with the idea of Operation Safe Corridor, which is located in Gombe State. And the idea is to see how to disarm those who are about to surrender, to disarm them, demobilize them, rehabilitate them, and reintegrate them back into community. So far, in 2016, the Operation Safe Corridor took off. So far, I think over 2,000 ex-members of Boko Haram have been de-radicalized, and most of them are reintegrated back to the communities. Although there are issues with the Operation Safe Corridor in terms of the program not inclusive in terms of involving community stakeholders and other experts. That's we shall come back to that. Now, research has shown that any attempt to integrate combatants usually come with a lot of challenges, with many doubting the genuineness of the repentance of such ex-combatant, and again, there's this fear factor from the community that are we sure whether this will have really repented? And again, research has also shown that even when ex-combatants are integrated back into community, they are still they still manifest the negative attitudes that they are used to. And this research examines these complex issues, dynamics around the integration of these peculiar people. I mean, the Boko Haram returnees. The study has 4 objectives. The first one is to identify the different categories of BH membership in terms of the categories of various categories of BH membership. The next objective is to understand the factors that encourage the return of BH members back to the communities from Sambisa Forest and the fringes of Lake Chad, where their bases are located. Then the third objective is to unravel the issues in reintegration of the returnees. Of course, this is the focal point of this research. Then lastly, you have this study also seeks to examine the Bono model that a lot of people have talked about, to look at the merits as well as the imperfections of the Bono model. I will make an attempt to define reintegration in the context of ex-combatant. There's also integration for IDPs, internally displaced persons or refugees. But in this research, the focus is on ex-combatants, or the people that are classified as Boko Haram returnees. Now, who are they? The United Nations defines reintegration as the process by which former combatants transition to civilian life from the life of that violent life, that life of insurgency, life of that is characterized by challenging the state, to a civilian life, securing sustainable livelihoods and economic stability. So, in other words, the UN is trying to say that reintegration for ex-combatant is a transition, an attempt that's made to move the ex-combatant away from that violent life, that life that they are used to a civilian life, where they can be able to provide their own livelihoods and also be included into the economy of their new society, so that they can be able to live a stable life like a normal civilian. Reintegration serves as a vital element within the broader disarmament, demobilization, and integration. Of course, integration is the last phase in the DDR or DDRR model framework, playing a critical role in post-conflict stabilization and peace-building effort. Of course, the essence of reintegration of ex-combatant is to be able to stabilize the society, so that society can return back to the previous peaceful and united society. The methodology for this research, of course, is qualitative in nature. Focus group receive data for the study. The participant or the categories of respondents in this research include traditional and religious leaders. These are community leaders in their own right. Then NGO representatives, especially those who are dedicated to reintegration issues within the context of the Boko Haram insurgency. Then security officials also I also interacted with them. Then, of course, the administrators, those who are operating the reintegration program in Borno, as well as in Adama State also. And lastly, the government officials that are also very active in the reintegration program of Boko Haram Returnees. The data, of course, were data collected, were analyzed and using thematic and content analysis techniques to identify key patterns and insights which are done in the discussion of the findings. Results. I now go to the results. Before I touch on the key results, let me just give you this preamble. So far, many former Boko Haram associates have been reintegrated into their former communities or new communities that they identify. For those who are not comfortable to go back to their former communities, they identify new communities that they were relocated to for fear of being attacked. In Adama State, the Ministry of Reconciliation, Rehabilitation, Integration, and Humanitarian Services is the one that is anchoring integration in Adama State in partnership with UN agencies and other key partners. While in Borno State, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Social Development also anchors issues of reintegration of Boko Haram in partnership with some UN agencies as well as other key stakeholders. No doubt, there are challenges facing the reintegration of Boko Haram. As I said, research has indicated that any attempt at reintegrating ex-combatants usually come with a lot of social, economic, and psychological challenges, which we'll soon delve into. Objective number one, which focuses on the categories of BH membership. There are different categories of BH membership. BH members are categorized based on the role they play and their involvement in the operations of Boko Haram. So you have the high profile members that have returned back to or surrendered or captured. The high profile members of Boko Haram are those that are commanders that have played leadership, occupied leadership role while doing Boko Haram, and they also commanders that have troops under them. So these are all the high-profile Boko Haram members. Now, normally when they are captured or surrender, they are taken to a camp in Niger State, where they are. Of course, they are isolated because of the fact that they are high profile and they are very dangerous. They can be very dangerous. So they are the high profile members of Boko Haram. Then you have the minors, which include children, both boys and girls. These are the vulnerable groups among the Boko Haram people that have returned. Then in that subcategory, you also have the low profile members. These are individuals who are forcibly conscripted young boys and young in the community. When the communities are attacked, they take them along. And as I find out in this society, about 80 to 90% of the current members of Boko Haram and those who have surrendered were either forcefully conscripted or they were deceived in joining Boko Haram in search of economic opportunities. For those who are ideologically based, almost all of them have been killed. It's just remnant of them that are remaining. As a matter of fact, more than 90% of the remaining members of Boko Haram were those that were forcefully conscripted and those that were lured because of financial gains. Then the other category, which is BH members by disengagement methods. This is talking about how they disengage from the BH from the Boko Haram group, either from Sambisa or fringes of Lake Chad. So the first category there is what those that were captured members. Those were captured by the security forces, whether it is the military or the civilian joint task force that's partnering with the military and other security forces, and as well as police. Then the next category is those who surrendered members. Those were those that were surrendered voluntarily on their own. They are tired of the life in the forest. In fact, a particular Boko Haram member that I interacted with in Madagascar told me that in the camp that there's a lot of discrimination against those who are not called Kanuri. The Marigays were discriminated against. So I was told that most of these people that are not called Kanuri, they are the ones they push forward when they are going for battle so that they can be killed. And most of the commanders are Kanuris and the leadership of the sect. So you find out that even in the camp, life in the camp is also not as beautiful as you may think. So there's a form of discrimination on the basis of ethnicity and also on the basis of gender also. Then lastly, you have the self-disengaged members. The self-disengaged members are those independently left the sect without formal surrender. There are lots of them. You find them in Madagascar and other parts of that left. Some of them escaped from the Boko Haram bases and came out and quietly entered the community without profiling. For the first two categories, captured members and surrender, those ones are usually when they return, they are profiled by the military and they handed over to the officials that will continue with their demobilization and disarmament, demobilization, and found out. Objective number 2, factors that encourage the return of BH members back to the community. There are a lot of factors that encourage a lot of BH members, especially after the death of Shekau in 2022 or 2023. So the first factor is leadership decapitation. Leadership decapitation in the sense that immediately Shekau, who was the supreme leader of Boko Haram, Jamatu, that's the parent Boko Haram, was killed. A lot of Boko Haram members had to surrender. Were captured. So that is one factor that led to the mass surrender of Boko Haram members. So the next factor that also encouraged surrendering of Boko Haram members is factional infighting. Of course, it was factional infighting that led to the death of Shekau. The ISWAP that was part of the parent Boko Haram left Boko Haram in 2015, and they formed the ISWAP. Of course, they came back and infighting and the leadership of the Boko Haram struggle. So the internal fighting between Boko Haram also led to massive return of many members of Boko Haram, especially those that were forcefully conscripted. Then those that were also joined Boko Haram as sort of the monetary gains. Then the next factor that led to massive return of Boko Haram members is political commitment, particularly the political commitment on the part of the governor of Borno State, the current governor of Borno State, Governor Zulum. Zulum was somebody who was a commissioner under Governor Shetima, and he was the one in charge of rebuilding of Borno State. So when he assumed office as the governor, he was very committed. He demonstrated a lot of political will, of course. That also led to and made promises to people, families of Boko Haram, to particularly their mothers, to ask their children to come back to lay down arms, that they will not be punished. That also encouraged a lot of members of Boko Haram to return. Then the military gains is also a very, very significant factor. The bombings, the scaling up, and intensification of the counter-insurgency operation also led to a situation where a lot of members of Boko Haram also returned back to the communities. Then lastly, you have psychological operations. Of course, this also played a role. Religious leaders, community leaders, traditional leaders played a lot of role. In Madagascar, for instance, the Archimedes told us that he had a meeting with the mothers of members of Boko Haram and told them to talk to their son. In fact, they even did a video of where their mothers were begging them to come back, that the government has promised that they will not be killed. And such video was sent back to them in the forest. Of course, their mothers still talk to them. In fact, in Madagascar, for instance, and some other communities, mothers that are so attached to their sons that are in Boko Haram will prepare food and go and keep the food in the bush and call their son that is Boko Haram to come and carry the food there. So through that that opening also, that engagement with their mothers also, a lot of them returned. A particular ISWAP member, commander that I interacted with in Madagali, in Adama State, told me that it was the mother that the Akimi that spoke to him, and the Akimi also spoke to him and promised him that he will not be hurt. He told me that the day he was surrendering, he he buried 2 AK-47 in the forest and came out with his 2 children and his wife that is a Nigerian. So that also played a strong role in the return of members of Boko Haram. Now, let me share this with you. This is the lamentations of a captured Boko Haram commander, as told to me by General Ishak, who is the one of the key persons operating the Borno model in Borno State. What was the lamentation of the Boko Haram commander? He's a captured Boko Haram commander cried for the safety of his family in Sambisa Forest. He was crying to the military in the camp. He complained that if he remained absent from the bush for more than 3 weeks, listen, what will happen to him? Another BS commander will marry his wife, and his children will be used as suicide bombers. He therefore pleaded with the military and promptly led them to his former camp in the Sambisa Forest, where the camp was dislodged and his family was rescued. Now, I put underneath it, so the evil doer is also afraid of evil. Now, this is a clear case of a Boko Haram commander who has been killing so many people. He's now afraid that his family, he has been captured and his family is in the forest, that 3 weeks after his absence, his wife will be married by another Boko Haram commander, and his children will be used for suicide bombing. So you can see the twist and what, and they say what comes around goes around. So the Boko Haram are also afraid. Of course, interacting with one member of commander of Boko Haram also, he lamented. He said, "I don't know the number of persons I've killed." He said he has killed more than 1,000. But here is a commander who I'm sure that would have killed so many people, afraid of what? The safety of what? Of his wife and his children. That is just to tell you the twist. One of the issues that I discovered. Then the third objective 3, issues in the reintegration of Boko Haram returnees. This is the focal point of the research. Now, the first issue that is very, very serious is what? There's still serious community resistance to bringing back Boko Haram returnees. There's this fear factor. The communities are afraid. They are afraid. I remember talking to a particular Akimi who said, "You people are asking us to allow Boko Haram members to come back." I was inside my palace when somebody rushed to me to come and tell me that my son has been gunned down by Boko Haram when they attacked. He said, I rushed out in my Babariga. I saw my son bleeding. I carried my son, and the blood of my son drenched my Babariga, and my son died in my hand. And they're asking me to forgive those who have done this evil to us. Of course, we were able to pacify him. So there's that strong community resistance. Another story was told about 2 persons who went to buy from a Boko Haram member who has returned, who went to Operation Safe Corridor and has set up a business. And when they went to buy, those guys that went to buy from had very, they were also in the same business. They had this provision business in Maiduguri, and their businesses have been destroyed. And here they are now going to buy from one of the persons that came to destroy their business. So somebody overheard them saying that, see, this man, one day we are going to come back to destroy his business the way he destroyed us. So there's still that strong community resistance against Boko Haram, as I said, because of fear factor. And this fear is palpable in the sense that we have seen some members of Boko Haram that have gone through Operation Safe Corridor that have returned back, they've been reintegrated back to the community. We've seen some of them even killing, one of them killed his father, as confessed by Senator Ndume. He had a misunderstanding with his father. He wanted to sell one of the father's cars. The father objected to it. He killed the father. And we have also had situation whereby some of the Boko Haram members that have been reintegrated killed some persons and ran back into the bush. And we've also, in fact, in Madagali, we were told that a particular reintegrated member of Boko Haram who had been joining them in fighting Boko Haram, they later discovered that he was giving information to them. And when they caught him, he confessed that he was giving 300,000 to be betraying the community. So that fear factor is still very, very palpable in Borno State and Adama State, particularly in areas where ex-combatants have been reintegrated to. Then there's also a significant reduction. However, this community resistance is now reducing because of the engagement of NGOs and the state, also state-led peace-building effort, reassuring the communities that they have to allow them to come back. I remember a particular workshop that we did there where we gathered in Adama here in 2018, invited Akimis and the of Goza, and to talk to them that they have to allow the ex-members of Boko Haram to come back. And we told them that if you don't allow them to come back, they will remain there and they will be coming to hurt you, to attack you. You must allow them to come back. At the end of that workshop, some of them actually saw the need for them to allow the members of, particularly those who were forcefully conscripted and those who joined because of monetary gains. So because of the engagement of the NGOs, some NGOs who are going to the communities to go and talk to them, that they should, there's need for them to forgive members of Boko Haram, and reconciliation also, for instance, in Adama State, members of Boko Haram that have returned have been reintegrated. What they did, they allowed them to ask for forgiveness from the community, and the community asked them to go and clear the market, clean the market, clear the gutters and also the drainages, and also to plant 600 trees, notched trees. So, and of course, they didn't have money, so their families and friends contributed money, and that also allowed the community to forgive them. So most of them are not living in peace in their community. So again, that is showing that there's a significant reduction in the resistance, community resistance that they had for Boko Haram, and I think it's an effort that should be sustained. Still on objective number 3, issues in the reintegration of Boko Haram. The reintegration program is perceived as perpetrator-centered. Now, a lot of people that we spoke to clearly told us that the integration program, whether the one in Operation Safe Corridor or the one that they are doing in the communities or the Bono model, is only focusing on the ex-combatants who have made their life miserable. That is only focusing on that, and the communities that are the actual victims that have lost so much because of the atrocity of the Boko Haram, they are not prioritized in the integration program. So that perception is very strong that this is just it's a program designed to equip and to empower Boko Haram, and it's a very serious perception that people are holding in Borno State and Adama State, and there's a need for government to see how to balance, to also prioritize the community needs in the integration program, whether it is the Borno model or the one that's happening in Adama State here. So then another issue that the research also discovered is that there's poor planning of the reconstruction, rehabilitation, and integration program, whether in Adama and Borno State. Many people don't believe that the program was well, has been properly planned. Of course, key stakeholders, the communities and other experts were not carried along, and because of that, people are having doubts about what the genuineness of the program. And as I said, that some of them are saying that this is a government program to empower the enemies of the community. Okay. Another issue that is that we discovered is failed government promises to be returnees, especially those that surrendered on their own, and including the commanders, including the people that were captured. Government promised them. Of course, you knew that when Jonathan was the president, Jonathan also gave amnesty to Boko Haram, that as many of them that wants to surrender, they surrender. That was in 2014. And governors in this state and the federal government have continued to make promises that when they surrender, that they are going to make sure that they cater to their needs. And they cater to their needs. They cater to their needs. And so these people are back, and they are saying that what government has not done what they have promised them, is provide shelter for them, to set up business, give them finances and other support to set up their businesses. In fact, in Madagali, most of the Boko Haram people that I spoke to, they say they have been living a borrowed life, that they have been surviving based on what they hand out, the support they get from the community, that for how long can they continue? In fact, some of them are announcing that life in the bush is better than the life in the community that they have returned to. And as a result of that, there's a lot of defection. People going back, Boko Haram members going back. They say at least when they are in the Sambisa Forest, they are 3 square meters guaranteed. Morning, afternoon, and night is guaranteed. And as a matter of fact, when many of them return back, they return back with hard currency. So government has not been able to fulfill the promises that they made to the Boko Haram. So this unmet government promises has also been generating a lot of agitation from the Boko Haram returnees. Then the next one is recidivism. Of course, recidivism is what? As a result of what? Unmet promises of the government, the failed government promises. So you are now seeing a lot of members of Boko Haram that have been reintegrated back to the community, going back to the forest, preferring to go back to the forest. And that will continue to swell the ranks of Boko Haram. So there's need for government to be able to fulfill the promises it has made to this group of persons, so that they can return. The more they return, I think the more peace those communities will enjoy. Then another issue is large family size or BH returnees. In fact, somebody that I interviewed in Borno State, who's engaging with them, told me that most of the male Boko Haram are married. In fact, the average number of wives they have is what? Between 2 and 3. Some have 5, some have 6. And the average number of children they have is what? Between 8 and 10. Some have 30 children. That the handout they give them in the camp is not sufficient. So you see that the men are complaining and their children are complaining. So the large family size is also a major problem, because government is struggling to take care of the needs of these people. So that is a major issue. And some of them are threatening that if this continues, they may go back to the bush, where they know that regardless of the number of their family, their needs will be catered to. So stigmatization is also very strong. This is very strong. A lot of people still have that stigma for members of Boko Haram that have returned, because they know the atrocities that so many of them committed. As a matter of fact, somebody was sharing with us in Madagali, a particular lady who was captured by Boko Haram, and for about 2 years was in the camp. When she returned, when military attacked their camp and they escaped, she gave birth. When she was coming back from the clinic where she gave birth, the community people went to work to help her to bring the child back. A young man shouted and said, "Wana, yaro shekau ne?" Meaning that this child is what? Maybe this child is what? Is Shekau's child. So you can see. And the lady was telling us that she wept and wept and wept and wept, and she felt like going back to the forest, showing that the community, they don't like her. For them to associate her or identify a child as a Shekau's child. So that stigma is very, very strong in Borno State and Adama State, where you have this category of persons. Now, let me also talk about the economic integration and the inclusion of BH returnees. This is a major, major problem. So many BH members that have been integrated back into community, they are still not allowed to integrate into the economy of the communities. A lot of them are just doing menial jobs, and menial jobs helping people to carry load and the rest. So that is a major, major factor, and that is creating a lot of grievances in this Boko Haram member, because they've not been able to sufficiently integrate into the economy of the communities where they are, whether they are former community or the new communities that they have been integrated to. Then security concerns. Most of these communities that were attacked by Boko Haram, that Boko Haram members have been integrated, they are still experiencing serious attacks from Boko Haram. Madagali, Adama State, for instance, is still, in fact, last week about 8 persons were killed in the community, and that is still posing a lot of fear within these communities, because the community members are afraid, and members of Boko Haram are also afraid when they come to attack communities where they have been integrated. The first target are those who have been members, former members have been integrated. They look for them and they kill them. And the unfortunate thing is that when I spoke with a particular district head in Madagali, I said, what is the security people doing? He said the situation is so bad that when Boko Haram come to attack and you tell them, say, I know they don't have orders from Abuja to attack. And that is so bad that even when the military want to go for patrol, they borrow machines, motorcycles from the locals. That is the motorcycles of the locals that they used to go and patrol. Of course, you can see that very frustrating situation. So the community now feel that nobody is coming to the air to protect them. So security is a major concern, and the security forces who are there, not only that their number is limited, but they don't have the capacity to be able to repel the attack of Boko Haram. So there's palpable fears in those communities. The next issue is socioeconomic challenges are the core of the root of the insurgency. We also found out that socioeconomic challenges are the core of what? Of the insurgency. Of course, those were the factors that even made them to join Boko Haram in the first place, particularly those who were deceived to join Boko Haram on the basis of financial gains, as well as those they captured. That's what they tell them, that Nigerian state cannot meet your needs. So those issues of poverty that people have been experiencing before Boko Haram attacked their community, those issues are still there: poverty, unemployment, social inequalities, underdevelopment, lack of government attention. They are still very much present in those communities that they have returned to. No electricity, no pipe-borne water. Education is education is not something to write home about. And there are so many. The presence of government is not felt in those communities. And of course, one can only say that those environments will continue to be very fertile environment for recruitment into the insurgency. As long as those critical needs of the people are not met, it will continue to serve as a fertile environment for recruitment for Boko Haram. Then the next issue is mental health. Of all, more than half of the Boko Haram members that have been integrated into communities are suffering from one form of mental health or the other. Serious mental health they are suffering from. And this is as a result of what their experiences when they were captured, when their communities were attacked, and when they were taken to the forest. And now that they are back, the conditions in the camp is not also a very decent condition. So that has led to a situation where many of them have developed mental health issues, including those that their family members have been killed, whether their husband or their children. Remember talking to a particular woman, Boko Haram Returnees, who was telling me that every night she has nightmares. She remembers how the husband said was chopped off, how the son was also killed. Another woman also said every night she has nightmares, dream of how the son was burnt in the house when she escaped. The son was sick and remained in the house, and Boko Haram came and set the house ablaze. She escaped, and that boy who could not run got burnt in the house. So you see that the mental health issues, and nobody is coming to their aid. The intervention, psychosocial support that the NGO is doing is not sufficient because you have thousands or hundreds of people who are suffering from mental health. So of course that will continue to affect attempt to return them back to civilian life. Okay, from there I go to the Bono model. I think I should talk about the Bono model, which is a model that a lot of people have talked about. The body. What is the Bono model all about? The Bono model is a DDR model of a model that is used to reintegrate ex-combatant. The Bono model has what you call triple Ds, as well as what triple R's. The triple D's are what? Disarmament, demobilization, and deradicalization. In other words, the ex-members of Boko Haram would have to go through disarmament, demobilization, and deradicalization. That is the first triple D. That's the first process they go through. Then the next one, which is triple R's, is what? After going through the triple D, they'll now be asked what? They will now also be taken through the triple R, which is rehabilitation. What does rehabilitation mean? They have to rehabilitate them and allow them to learn skills, so that when they eventually integrated back into community, they'll be able to produce livelihood for themselves and be able to support their families. So the next R is reconciliation. In other words, reconciliation is now incorporated into the disarmament and the rehabilitation process. So there's effort. Communities are now brought into it, and they meet with members of Boko Haram that have been integrated into the community so that they can ask for forgiveness, and their irreconcilable interests can be reconciled. So that is also one of the things that is done under the 3 R's. Then the next one is reintegration. The reintegration is when the ex-members of Boko Haram have gone through the rehabilitation where they learn skills, and reconciliation when they are reconciled with the community, they will now be reintegrated into the community. That is what the Bono model is all about, triple D's and triple R's. Now, this framework actively engage communities in the reintegration process, emphasizing local ownership. That is what they emphasize. But however, there are complaints coming from the community stakeholders that yes, they try to carry them along, but it's not sufficient. Now, the current status of the operationalization of the Bono model in Borno State. Surrendered members of Boko Haram. So far, there are over 300,000 members of Boko Haram that have laid down their
Hello, Professor Momodu. Hello. Please check your connections.
Actually, it's been part of the meeting.
Yeah.
Professor Abak, reach out to him.
I'm trying to reach him.
Okay, sir.
Okay. And then please tell him to round off.
Yeah, it's almost true. He has just about 2 slides left.
Yes.
Yeah, a slide or 2, yeah.
Okay.
Hmm.
Well,
Professor
Sorry?
Adesina.
yes.
I'm back.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. All right.
Yes, I'm back.
Okay.
I don't know. Okay, I was on Bono model when.
Okay. Please, we will expect you to round off in 5 minutes so we can have adequate time for Q&A. Okay, thank you.
I should be able to round up in the next 5 minutes.
Okay.
So I was also talking about not the Bono model. Vocational training programs are organized for Boko Haram returnees. Some of the skills that are taught: motorcycle, mechanic, metal work, tailoring, carpentry, masonry, plumbing, solar panel installation, and motorcycle repairs, and tricycle repair. Then for the women, they teach them baking, soap making, shoe making, tailoring, snack production, and cap making. These are skills that they are taught, and a lot of them have also shown a lot of seriousness that they are now able to produce this to display these skills. Now, criticism of the Bono model. Number one, a lot of people have criticized the Bono model for the fact that it is perceived to be primarily focused on catering to the needs of returnees. That is a very strong criticism. Then the next one, the state government, since it's a state owned. Then also some of the experts, those that engage in helping to teach, particularly the clerics, the Islamic clerics. Some believe that they are not those who are rooted in Quran. So that's also another criticism. Then some community members believe that the program allows government to dump their enemies in their communities. So some also see that as a way of dumping their enemies in their community. So they criticize the Bono model. Then limited the involvement of community stakeholders in the retrieval. It's not that the community stakeholders are not involved, but they are not involved in as much as they would love to be involved. So they're also asking for greater involvement in the Bono model. Then lastly, graduates of Bono model are not given adequate financial and material support. Some of them that are funded that are integrated back into community, you see that they are still struggling to survive, to provide livelihood for their family. Conclusion. Since 2017, the integration of former Boko Haram associates in Borno State and Yobe State has evolved into a complex yet critical peace-building initiative, generating both scrutiny and support from diverse stakeholders. This study examines the multi-dimensional issues emerging from this ongoing process. Therefore, the successful integration of BH returnees should recognize the diverse challenges faced by this group of persons in the communities they have returned to, and ensure a safe and secure environment that can guarantee their security, access to essential services, social cohesion, and economic opportunity. Finally, it is it's believed that a coordinated and collaborative approach should be adopted in the attempt to integrate former Boko Haram. And the needs of the Boko Haram as well as the community should also be prioritized. The first recommendation, evidence-based program. Attempt to integrate Boko Haram should be done in a scientific way. It should be very scientific about it, so that it can be done properly. The next one, community-centric approach. The community also integrated Boko Haram must also be prioritized as much as that of Boko Haram that is currently prioritized over and above the community. The integration process, I talked about that. The economic empowerment for both the community people as well as the Boko Haram. Then finally, housing and mental health support. The Boko Haram members need shelter. A lot of them need shelter because they have lost their homes. So government and NGOs and well-being Nigeria's private sector can also help out in producing. In fact, the federal government can also use its national housing scheme to help to provide a shelter for this group of persons that are currently living life without much support. Thank you. I think let me stop here so that I can give opportunity to questions from my listeners. Thank you so much for listening to me.
Thank you very much. Thank you. We applaud you on this very fascinating and impressive guided tour of the enclave of the Boko Haram fighters. So we can all see we have made trips to Yola, to Yobe, and to Maiduguri. So we are living witnesses to all this. Thank you very much. Well, before I throw this open to our listeners, let me start by asking. We have seen your presentation on reintegration. And in fact, I have also seen the attempt to take us through the material conditions of people in the area and those who joined the Boko Haram people. But my worry is that the major focus is the de-radicalization. What form of training went into the de-radicalization? What kind of curriculum and who are those doing the de-radicalization? And of course, if that question is valid, that presupposes also that the radicalization of these fighters, what went into it? Because you have told us now that the first generation of Boko Haram people have almost all been killed. So is it just purely a ragtag group? Wait, just wait, hold on. So what kind of radicalization did they go through? And of course, that's just a comment that we allow others to also ask their questions. Kindly note this, and let's open the floor for comments from the floor. I will take about 3 in the first set. Just listen and note the comments and questions. The floor is open, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, sir.
Additional Professor Gulos hand is up.
Yes. Okay, sir. Yes, sir.
Since you are co-host, you should be able to see the hands.
Okay, sir.
Okay.
Okay.
Sorry, MTP network just disappeared here.
Yeah. Okay. Can I make my point, please?
Is the presenter around now?
Hello.
Yeah.
You are back. Okay. Okay. Go ahead, sir.
Okay. Well, this is a very loaded presentation, very comprehensive. It's difficult to go into the theory of it, the processes that are involved. But, I want to ask my question from the viewpoint of a layman, somebody who is not a specialist in these processes that the presenter has outlined. And my question is very much from outside. What we say, or what is the common impression that is created? And I must say that one of these points have not been mentioned, for instance. There is the point that the reason the rehabilitation, reintegration does not or has not been working effectively is because of the Nigerian factor, namely corruption. And that, in most cases, when funds are voted for a process and the funds are not used for that process, of course, you do not expect that process to succeed, no matter how good it is theoretically. And it appears that throughout the presentation, there was not much was talked about this aspect of it. And like I said, I'm making the point like an outsider. Is it that, we as academics cannot go into some of these areas, that we must assume that the implementation is as effective as the theoretical layout? That's just my question. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much, sir. Professor Badijo, sir.
Thank you very much. Having lived in Borno for several years, I won't mention the years so that some people don't get afraid. But I've lived through all the years of Boko Haram in Borno. And when indigenes were even running away, I stayed there until I left in 2023. Now, the issue is that, like Professor Sogolo mentioned, the Nigerian factor. What's the interplay between the military, the politicians, and those who are, genuinely wanting to end this crisis? Because you will have imagined that this should have ended a long time ago. But each time progress is made, especially at the reintegration stage, something snaps and the situation becomes worse. Why? Because there are vested interests in making sure that this crisis never ends. So we've heard of stories of attempts to de-radicalize, but de-radicalization leading to infiltration of the army itself. And then the role of the commanders, the military, wanting to still maintain the status quo, that is to continue this crisis so that it lasts forever and ever. It's a very frustrating situation, because when you consider the commitment of the current governor of the state, Professor Zulum, you see that sometimes he openly demonstrates or displays a sense of frustration. Why? Because of this collusion between the government, the military, the politicians, and those who are actually in the field to ensure that this problem is solved. So I think what your research should also aim at is to see the nuances between or among these forces that want to ensure that this problem is never solved. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Please, Professor Momodu, you can go ahead to answer the questions and react to the comments.
Okay,
Then we go
okay, sir. Let me start. Yes. Okay, let me start with your question, sir.
Okay.
That I didn't touch too much about the radicalization process. Of course, from the topic is reintegration that the research focused on, the reintegration process. However, I was able to touch on the radicalization aspect. The aspect of the radicalization is handled by the military. Of course, in Gombe Operation Safe Corridor, they do a lot of the radicalization there. Then in the Borno model also, the military and some experts are also engaged in the radicalization process. Of course, for you to be able to get in there and get information is a big, in fact, it's a tug of war. Tug of war. They will not be willing to give you any information. However, we're able to ferret some information from people. So the eradication aspect, is it being done properly? No, it's not being done properly, because you find out evidence has shown that even people that they claim that they have radicalized have turned around to become enemy in the society, killing people. So that aspect of attempting to eliminate or to change the ideology that these members of Boko Haram, particularly those that are ideologically aligned to the sect, I don't think it's properly being done. And I also alluded to it in my presentation that most of the experts that are handling the radicalization program in the camp, they are not experts. In fact, in my interaction with an NGO guy, he was lamenting that even the imams that are teaching the Boko Haram Returnees in camp, teaching them about forgiveness, how to not to embark on violence again, that they are not well bred imams. They are not those that have in-depth knowledge of the subject matter. So that is a big challenge. And as I said, a corridor is a place where it is very difficult for you to access. But as I said, I don't think it's what the radical aspect of it is what is properly handled. So that is a major criticism of the entire process, whether it's the Borno model or the one that is going on in Adama and Borno State. The aspect of direction has to be done properly. One guy that I interacted with in Madagali said, I will still go back. Very soon I'll go back to the forest. I buried my guns in the forest. This process is just what? It's a ruse. They're just what? It's all this deception. It means that the radicalization aspect has not been well thought out and well implemented. So there's a challenge with the radicalization process. The next question, the issue of corruption. Well, the issue of corruption is what is a major challenge. Challenge because there are a lot of people that are benefiting from the insurgency, including that process of the radicalization and integration. There's a lot of monies now that have been stolen from it. In fact, a particular Boko Haram member that finished from Operation Safe Corridor told me that when he finished, they only gave him 10,000 naira to return back home. That amount is not even, according to him, it's not even sufficient for him to transport himself from Gombe to Madagali. So you see that so what has happened to the amount that they're supposed to be given? So there's a lot of corruption going on there, from the military guys, the other security actors, the politicians, the other stakeholders, including the NGOs, international NGOs. They are all involved in this corruption. So I will touch on it, but it's a huge issue that will require research to be conducted about what the political economy of reintegration and deradicalization is a huge economy that a lot of people are benefiting from. And as the Heritage Scholar said, there is a huge economy. People don't want it to end. As a matter of fact, a student of mine, Lieutenant Colonel, Lieutenant Colonel was telling me that a particular general came to visit them in Maiduguri, and was telling him, he said, see, I'm a major general. This conflict will continue. By the time you become major general, this conflict will still be raging on. I said, sir, why are you sounding so pessimistic? He said, because of what? The corruption that is going on. Yeah, all of us know about it. So corruption is a huge issue that is bedeviling, including the well thought out intention to ensure that the process is seamless and is able to achieve very good outcome. So it's a major challenge. Then the next one, the Nigerian factor. Of course, corruption is also part of the Nigerian factor. There are some persons who don't want this thing to end. The Nigerian factor is there. A lot of money is coming to the coffers of so. In fact, in Borno State, they big from the Middle East, from everywhere. So some persons don't want it to end. So the Nigeria factor is there. Like some people say that we should pray that Nigeria should not happen to us. So I think Nigeria is happening to the process of DDR and the whole entire gamut of counterinsurgency in Borno State. So the Nigeria factor is something that attempt must be made to do. But who has got the political will to do that? Of course, the government. And accountability also, the accountability process is not also strong. People who are handling responsibility are supposed to be made to account for what they are doing, to account for what they are doing. So this is a serious issue. In 2018, a particular NGO organized a workshop on corruption in the humanitarian sector. And we were told a particular director of NEMA told us in 2016, a particular number of trucks for food were approved for Borno State, 300 for Borno State, 200 for Adama State, 150 for Yobe State. And the guy said, and we're having that program in 2018. He said, as I speak to you, 2 years later, only 20 of those trucks have come to Adama State. So what has happened to the remaining 180 trailers of food? So you see, and that food was approved from Abuja. So it's a serious problem. That is it's a huge economy that people in Abuja, people in Borno, the military, in fact, some people are even paying to go to Boko Haram to be posted to Adama, Yobe, and Borno State because of the high stake. I also recall talking to a particular lieutenant colonel in Adama State here, who told me that what I learned from people, that the guy is the one that all the people who have business, who are selling provision, they buy from him. He is a dealer. He will bring his product from Lagos, and the community people come and buy from him. Somebody is supposed to be protecting the people, so you can see. And we also told them that for every cow that is purchased, that certain amount of money is paid to some of these commanders, and including farming also. The fertile lands, people are complaining, the fertile lands in those areas, the military have taken it over. They hire the community people to farm for them, they pay them money. So these are all issues. So it is a fertile ground for corruption. So the Nigerian factor needs to be also touched on. These are the questions that I was able to get. My internet was
okay, yes. Thank you very much for your response. I'll go to the two hands raised online now, and then before you answer, I'll go and read out the ones on the chat box. So kindly take notes. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I just want to ask the presenter, there have been questions whether you would like to share the slides. Yes. Can we share the slides with the participants? If yes, you can just post it in the chat room, but people can download this straight.
Absolutely, I can share, sir. You can share, sir.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. All right. So we have 4 hands now raised, and so in this order, please talk Professor Albert, Professor Kende, Professor Da Silva, and then Nucha Suntai. So Professor Albert first, please.
Okay, sir. Let me thank Professor Adeshina, Professor Sogolo, Professor Badejo, and the president for the questions asked. What Professor Momodu has tried to do is probably to give us less than 10% on what could be said on this subject matter. Anytime we want to bring in social scientists to talk to us, one of the things I tell them is to be less theoretical. So if they are not too heavy on theories, is because I think I want them to come to our level. This is because across the continent, poets now are writing on wars. You know, poets are writing on wars, historians are writing on wars, philosophers are writing on wars. You know, so I wanted him to talk to us in a way that will enable each of us to have something to take back home. So if his work is not too heavy on theory, please blame me for it. It's a product of the advice. It's a product of the advice I gave to him for this presentation. Yet, I want to agree with the 4 of you that I have named, because the questions you have asked are questions that Nigerians, or that Nigeria must answer. You know, the first one has to do with the viability of even this approach to conflict management. To me, this DDR thing that we're doing in Nigeria, I think is an escape route for the federal government, that it's not interested in solving this problem. You know, you begin to promise amnesty, you begin to promise rehabilitation where the military lacks either the capacity to do it or political leaders lack the political will to do it. And I think this is the problem we are facing. I was in Maduguri with Professor Momodu. We went to see Zulum. The man is doing so much, but he's frustrated, as you have all, you know, it's as if you traveled to Maduguri with us. The man is frustrated because you have people who don't want the crisis to end. You have corruption. Then you have the victims of this problem complaining that what the government is doing is to be rewarding the perpetrators, because in a war situation, you differentiate between perpetrators of the problem and also the victims. Now, this DDR project is very heavy in compensating the perpetrators. But when you listen to the perpetrators, they tell you the government is not treating us fairly. But the question I ask is that as a professor, a 2006 professor, is the government treating me fairly? So if anybody comes from a, you know, IDP camp to say they did not give me egg, is Professor Albert eating egg? Now, if the state has failed, it will affect every other project. And I think this is part of the problem we are facing. It's part of what is missing from this presentation, that this system is not working because Nigeria is not working. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Professor Kende, you are next. Please make your questions or comments very short so we can give room to others. Professor Kende, please. And Professor Albert, lower your hand, please.
Okay, sir.
Thank you. Okay, yes, please go ahead.
Thank you, sir. Okay, sir. Thank you so much. Yeah, the issue, can you hear me?
Yes, please go ahead.
Go on, please.
Can you hear me?
Yes, go on, please.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I want to point, sir. Yeah, I appreciate the presenter. I just want to point his attention to an issue or two based on my knowledge or lack of it. The first thing is that the issue of sincerity. What is the process of integration? Who mooted the idea? And was there any sincerity behind it? Then two, the issue of ideology needs to be approached. You want to reintegrate Boko Haram with some promises, I'll buy this for you, I'll do that for you. Also the real issue, the religious ideology that actually led some to engage in Boko Haram. Religion, some ill teaching, some teaching that are actually not ethically grounded in the Bible or in the Quran. So, how was this addressed? And my fear is that even when you are integrating them, they still come back to society that gave them wrong orientation in the first instance. How can we reconcile the need for integration with what actually led them to engage in Boko Haram? And more importantly, that by the time they were brought back to the society, they still listen to have access to that wrong orientation. I think this issue needs to be approached. Go beyond material things. That facilities are not there. But what are the mental? The presenter may need to look at this. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Okay, please lower your hand. Professor Da Silva, please.
Thank you very much. I want to join others to commend the efforts of the presenter. I'm just curious. Under reintegration, we've had various narratives, particularly with regards to some of these repentant Boko Haramis being integrated into the military. Is this true? I just want to find out that. Then the other one is the origin of Boko Haram itself, the ideology behind it has to do with religion. And religion is not a thing that you solve, particularly within months, especially for extremists. Therefore, I'm interested to know this deradicalization, the duration. How long did it take, or does it take, for an individual to get deradicalized?
Yes.
So these are the two things that I'm interested to know. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much for your intervention. Okay, Nucha Suntai.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much, sir. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Go on, please.
Okay. Very much for this opportunity. Actually, I'm a student.
Okay.
Professor, the presenter is my director. Thank
so
you for the
came,
opportunity, sir.
So you came to give him solidarity support.
Yes, sir.
Okay, go on, please.
Okay. My question borders on the danger of memories. There are victims that have been killed, and they have children in thousands. Who knows what these people have done to their parents? Probably their present condition is as a result of the Boko Haram insurgency. So I want to know, what is the prospect of future violence against Boko Haram returnees from the children of victims of Boko Haram? Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you very much. And remember to lower your hand. Professor Obiefuna.
Yeah, thank you very much. One of my students wrote something on issues bordering on insecurity in Taraba State and mentioned that some of these Boko Haram people and ISWAP find it easier living in the forest than living outside. They support themselves by this kind of kidnapping and things like that. But I appear to be convinced that there must be some people that supply things better than the government can provide for these people. So is it possible to have an idea of some of these suppliers of benefices to these Boko Haram people right there in bushes? Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you so much, sir. The presenter, you want us to read out the one on the dialogue box, or you want to answer this first?
Let me answer this one first.
Okay. Thank you.
I think I totally agree with.
Yes, sir.
Prof,
hold on.
You can just announce that the slides are already on the platform, on the chat.
Okay, sir.
So anybody that wants to download, because once it's finished, it will go off.
Okay.
So please, you can continue, sir.
Thank you. Please, Prof, continue.
I think I agree totally with my mentor, Prof. Albert, for saying that issues around Boko Haram and the counterinsurgency there are issues that if you want to research on them, it will take the next 50 years for you to research on them. There are so many issues that are interconnected. And again, that's what the DDR is not working. And I agree with him, it is not working. It is not working. There are challenges with the DDR. It's not working. If you look at other models in other contexts, in Saudi Arabia, in other clubs, where you have a good DDR model that have worked. Well, in the case of Nigeria, it has not worked. Maybe again is the Nigerian factor. Anything that is well intentioned in Nigeria, some people will sabotage it to ensure that it does not work. So that is that. Then sincerity of the DDR, of course, there's no sincerity. In the case of Governor Zulum is very sincere. You can see his frustration. Like Prof. Abba said, we're there in January, and you can see his frustration. Governor Zulum is doing a lot to ensure that the stability and peace returns to Borno State. But again, there are people who are sabotaging the effort of the governor. In fact, there was a time the governor was almost killed. His convoy was shot at, and at that time we heard that it could be the military that planned to assassinate the governor. So the sincerity to end the insurgency is not there, whether for the federal government. You can see what federal government is doing. In fact, few months back, there were huge complaints. The governor of Borno State complained that the ammunition that they were using to combat Boko Haram, that they moved them to the northwest. And again, I have a friend there, a lieutenant colonel, who told me that most of the ammunition have been moved, that their camp is a commander that Boko Haram comes there to spy on them with drone, and they also use drone to attack their camp. You see that political will from the federal government is not there, and the security leadership of security to ensure that this problem is addressed once and for all. Then, is it true that repentant Boko Haram that have been integrated into the military? Yes, there were some of them that were actually secretly employed into the military, and there are a lot of them that have also been employed into Borno State Agency for Traffic Control. A lot of them have been employed, and other establishments within Borno State. A lot of them have been integrated, and but there are complaints about the attitude. But then a lot of them have been employed in the state establishment, some state establishment, and quite a number of them were also employed into the military. But the military will not come out and accept that that has been done. But there are stories pointing to that fact. Then the Operation Safe Corridor, is it the radicalization they are doing? Is it actually, when is it how long should the radicalization be done? In the case of Operation Safe Corridor, they are only camped in Borno State, in Gombe State. The OPS, Operation Safe Corridor, in Gombe State, is only 6 weeks. They only use 6 weeks to deradicalize them and also teach them skills. So the question is 6 weeks enough to eliminate the ideology, that extreme ideology? It's not sufficient. In other contexts where the deradicalization has been done, it took them about 2 years. In some, about 2 years, some about 3 or 4 years. But in the case of Nigeria, it's just something that's haphazardly done. As I said, the Operation Safe Corridor, it is 6 weeks. Is 6 weeks enough to deradicalize somebody who it took about 1 year or more to radicalize? So that is a serious challenge. Then okay, the question that my student asked, that the children of Boko Haram, that is anything being done at least to avoid the situation whereby they will become what? Terror or enemy to the society? Of course, I don't think there's something that's been done sufficiently. In fact, in Borno State, a teacher was teaching children of displaced children whom parents have been killed by Boko Haram. And he asked them to draw anything. She asked them to draw anything that comes from their mind. A particular child, when others were drawing birds, a book, a particular child drew an AK-47, an image that looks like an AK-47. So the teacher was surprised. So he went and asked, why did you draw this? Why didn't you draw that? He told the teacher, I said, this was the type of gun that was used to kill my father. When I grew up, I also used this gun to kill Boko Haram. So you can see that enemy image is there. So, and what is the government doing to ensure that this kind of children, they are actually rehabilitated, so that enemy seed that has been planted in them is eliminated? I don't think something adequate is being done in that regard. Then forest, of course, research has pointed to the fact that forest, most of the non-state armed groups, they are now hibernating in the forest, because forest is able to provide everything they need. Forest provide protection for them. They do their training there. They mine natural resources in forest. They plan their attacks. Attacks in the community, they plant them in the forest. Of course, that's not to say that they are not getting support. They're also getting support. In fact, the CDS, the Chief of Defense Staff, has alluded to the fact that anytime they capture Boko Haram members, they see them with foreign currency, pounds and dollars. Where are they getting this money from? And he called on the international community to see how to trace the funding that is getting to Boko Haram. So it's a major problem. They are getting support from outside of Nigeria, within the continent, from other terrorist group, Al-Qaeda in the Maghreb. They provide financial support to them. ISIS provides support to them. And there are also some countries that are deliberately sponsoring this extremist group. But as I said, forest was also a viable environment for non-state armed groups. You can ask yourself, Boko Haram has been in the forest since 2010, 2011. For 15 years now, they have been in Sambisa forest. And most of them are still there. And 300,000 of them have surrendered. So you can begin to imagine the number of Boko Haram members that in Sambisa forest. Just imagine somebody who's supplying them pure water. The person would have been a millionaire by today. So forest is a place, although they are not governed by the state, it's an ungoverned space, but alternative governed by non-state armed groups. Forest is a place where non-state armed groups are found to be a place where they can get everything to survive. Okay. So I think I've responded to those questions.
Okay, thank you. Let's go to the chat box now. The first one, please kindly note the questions so that you can answer all of them before we end the program. The first one is by the foundation president, Professor Emeritus Ayobambushi. He said, congratulations, Jude, on a well-researched and well-presented lecture. While there is provision for psychological adjustments for returnees, is there anything similar provided for the community that is the victim of their atrocities? Did you get that? Hello?
Yes, I did, sir.
Okay. So the second one is from Dafe Okutu. How do the reintegration efforts for Boko Haram compare with the amnesty given to militants in the Niger Delta, which seem to have been mostly successful? Are there unique challenges in the Boko Haram case that make rehabilitation in their communities more difficult? Then the next one, by Jamila Sulaiman. In Borno State, a Ministry of Religious Affairs was established for purposes of rehabilitation. Unfortunately, a director in the ministry says the extent of rehabilitation is to appeal to people, both ex-combatants and victims, to keep the peace and to forgive and forget. As of 2022, they have been to camps only twice, to each camp, a grossly inadequate attempt at rehabilitation, which needs to be sustained. So please address that. Then another one by Idowu. Please, are there still any hope for reintegration program in the country? This is because of what has been happening in the country recently, and the program has not been really effective. Also, should this reintegration program be cancelled? Then I hope I'm not too fast. Okay, then from Professor Abiola Adejide, is the Truth and Reconciliation model used? It has been said that foreign governments have given the Nigerian government the list of backers. It has been said that foreign governments have given the Nigerian government the list of backers. So is that Is that true? And then finally, let me see. Well, this is a basic question which we already knew from Ngozi Ulogu. How did the group emerge in the first instance? I think it's just going back in time to see if you want to also talk about that. So already the PowerPoint is here. And then the final question from Dr. Chris Mitchell. Wonderful presentation, Prof. What effort is being made on online de-radicalization? Some techie youths are being recruited daily. I think they need to look at online de-radicalization is key. So these are the questions. Please address them as much as possible before we close the program. Thank you so much. Then, of course, the slides are here for download by anyone interested. So check the...
Thank you very much, sir.
Okay, thank you.
So I start with the first question, psychosocial support. I think the person asked that why there is psychosocial support for the returning Boko Haram members, and is there any for the communities? There is for the community. There are some NGOs that are providing psychosocial support for the communities, but you find out the communities are complaining that they just come once in a while to come and talk to them and give them what they need to be able to overcome the psychosocial support, but they want a clinic, a psychosocial support clinic to be established, and that government has not done that. So it's a major problem, because just imagine those who have gone through the evil of Boko Haram. I remember in 2015, because of the intensification of Boko Haram, I had to relocate my family from Yola here to Ibadan. Now I'm resident in the city, in the state capital. For those who are in the communities where they were attacked, just imagine the kind of callousness that they have experienced from the Boko Haram member. So there's need for government and the NGOs to set up psychosocial clinic for the community also, as they are doing for Boko Haram in the camp. They should also set up, because there are psychosocial clinic in the camp. They should also set up in the psychosocial clinic in the communities also, to attend to the needs of those that have a psychosocial problem. Then, how do the Boko Haram compare to the amnesty given to Boko Haram? Of course, amnesty is amnesty. Amnesty is surrender your arms, and will treat you, will not take any serious action against you, will also give you the opportunity to be rehabilitated. That of Boko Haram is different from Niger Delta. Of course, you know what the Niger Delta militant stood for. They were fighting for resource control. But in the case of Boko Haram is also an ideologically based insurgency or struggle. So there's need, well, amnesty has been given, but the issue of radical ideology, the extreme ideology needs to be tackled. The ideology, it is not that the Niger Delta don't have their own ideology. Their own ideology is rooted in what? In the exclusion of the region from getting attention from the federal government, being an oil-producing region. So, which is what, and they were able to attend to their need through provision of rehabilitation skills, as well as financial support, and some of them were sent abroad. But in the case of Boko Haram, that, even though that is being done, but then you are dealing with what? With a group of people that have experienced poverty, inequality for decades of years, and that frustration is not mixed with ideology, and that's why it's different, because it is a religious ideology. Why that of the Niger Delta is what is an economic ideology. This is an entity that has to do with religion. Is usually very serious. So that is the little distinction I can give with regards to the amnesty program in Niger Delta, which worked, although it also has its own challenges. Also, it was fraught with corruption and other things. Also, the political will also at a point in time was waning, and that's why I saw that in 2016 there was a resurgence of the Niger Delta militancy. So I go to the next question, which is inadequate deradicalization. And of course, the deradicalization that has been done is not adequate. As my colleague, Dr. Jamila, mentioned there, you can imagine the Ministry of Religious Affairs, that is supposed to engage the members of Boko Haram and try to educate them, and by way of removing that ideology from them. I've only visited camp, I think twice in 2 years. Twice. You can see how abysmally low, poor that attempt to engage with the ideology of Boko Haram is. So I don't think something tangible is being done there. And again, I think the state government, Borno state government, and federal government and NGOs must also prioritize the issue of deradicalization, which is key, because the ideology must be engaged and be replaced with a different ideology that has a human face, a civil ideology that will make them to come back to the community and be able to relate with people peacefully. Then the next question, is there hope for the integration? Of course there's hope. It depends on what? On the attitude of the government. The government must follow up with what? Demonstrate enough political will. Government at the federal and at the state level also. And the military leadership also has a role to play. I was speaking to a commander who was telling me that when they write report from the field, they are the ones feeling the heat of Boko Haram. By the time the report gets to the theater commander and gets to Abuja, the report would have been doctored. By the time the report finally gets to Abuja, they'll say, all is well. And this man was complaining that they are the ones feeling the heat. He's losing his men. So when we talk about the seriousness that it deserves for us to end the insurgency, it's not only the political will from the federal government, from the state government, the will also, if you want to call it a military will, the will from the military leadership to also ensure that this monster that we are talking about is addressed sufficiently. Then foreign government support. Some time ago, the UAE government released a list of Boko Haram sponsors to the government of Buhari. Up to today, nothing has been done. Nothing has been done in that regard to ensure that these people are fished out and punished. So the question is that is government also complicit in this thing we are talking about? Is government also complicit in it? So that's the question we should be asking ourselves. If a list that the government ought to bring out to its people and say, these are the people sponsoring Boko Haram. Another country has taken the pain to give the Nigerian government the list, and yet the government still for dragging. So the question is that is government also complicit in this mess? Then online recruitment. Of course, even the CDS and the military have come out to say that Boko Haram is now using doing online recruitment, social media to recruit members in a country where there's so much poverty, multidimensional poverty, and somebody is talking to you, chatting with you online, and is promising you that he will pay you this amount of money. You continue to find youth who are frustrated, going to join Boko Haram. I was talking to a particular mechanic in one of the states in the Northeast, and the man was saying that he's not making money, that if he can get somebody that introduce him to Boko Haram and they will be ready to pay him 300,000 per month, he will join them. He say, even though I have family, I will go and join them. You can see. So government must tackle the issue of poverty in the land. Today, Nigeria is the headquarters of poverty.
Yes, sorry, before you leave that, the question actually is, what effort is being made on online de-radicalization? Because if these people are also using online to recruit, is there a way that online can be used to de-radicalize? Yes, continue, please.
Absolutely, there's a way. And who is supposed to do that? The National Security Office is supposed to oversee efforts at de-radicalization, using online platform to de-radicalize young Nigerians who may be vulnerable to recruitment. But is that being done? I don't think anything substantial is being done there. Maybe we should now begin to recommend to the NSA that the NSA should take leverage on online, social media, and the rest to use it, get experts to construct messages that can help to de-radicalize extremist tendency. extremist them there. So the question is that yes, online platforms can be used to de-radicalize, but that is not being done sufficient. I'm not even aware if there's any attempt to use online. And as I said, the NSA is in a better position to ensure that it leverages on online platform to target vulnerable youths to de-radicalize them, prevent them from being radicalized by extremist group. I think I've responded to all the questions. Back to you, sir.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much. I'm sure my people are clapping for you for this wonderful presentation, as well as a very rewarding Q&A session. But before I hand you back to Professor Albach and the President, I'd like to advise you that you should understudy the template used by Professor Badejo to stay in Maiduguri, the enclave of Boko Haram, for years. But you have just said you have relocated your family from Yola to Ibadan. Please borrow some leave from Professor.
My family is back. I returned them back. Of course, they could not cope in Ibadan.
Okay.
I returned them back in 2015. So 21 years now I've been in Yola. So I've been very active in going to this context of this moving around the northeast. So they are back to Ibadan. Yola.
So for the rest of us, there is nothing to fear. We can come to the northeast anytime, any day.
Absolutely. Professor Albert was our external examiner. He comes to Yola from Dr. Danjibo. So there's not, you can come, sir.
Okay, thank you so much. Well, thank you very much for your presentation, and I thank our audience for a very robust engagement with the presenter. Thank you so much. I now hand you over to Professor Albert, and then through him, the President. Thank you very much. Thank you. Professor Albert, please.
Yes, Professor Adeshina, thank you so much. We bumped on you. I mean, we invited you to chair this meeting just a few days ago. We thank you so much for your usual support. We also have to thank the President for giving us the opportunity to have this session. Now, we thank Professor Momodu for the presentation. But as I said, what you have presented to us is like just 10% of probably what the amount of information that you have. So we thank you so much for supporting this project. Before I hand over to the President, let me announce the next outing. And it's going to be a round table, and a round table that will enable me to sign out, as Professor Adeshina also once signed out. Professor Adeshina handed over to me, and I will also be handing over to some other persons on the 24th of July. And the topic for the round table is abandoned federal government buildings in Nigeria, implications for national development. And the three speakers will be Professor Victor Ariole, Professor Joanna Izam, and Professor Sani Usman Kunya. So, and I think it's going to be another interesting outing. Mr. President, sir, let me hand over to you.
Thank you so much, Professor Albert. You stated I will be handing over on the 24th. I doubt if that is possible. Tayo was transiting to a different client when he gave up the job. I don't know whether you're also transiting to another client, but we'll leave that discussion to much later. Professor Andrew Aruna is going to constitute the next committee. Is online, so he's hearing you loud and clear. But let me appreciate all the members, all the participants online, particularly the non-members of the academy who are here. There are so many non-members, particularly those in the security community, those in peace studies and conflict studies community. There are quite a large number of them online. I'd like to appreciate you for giving us such an exciting time. Professor Jude Momo, we appreciate the excellent presentation. And you could see from the discussion that you were able to get us interested, and everybody appreciated the quality of a presentation. Indeed, I was taking in when I was following the slides about how rich and how in-depth your research is. I really appreciate you. It's just a pity that you're not in humanities to can't absorb you into the Academy of Letters itself. That was part of a debate when we started this discussion.
Thank you very
Let
much,
me
sir.
appreciate everybody who is online.
Thank you
The
for
foundation
the
president is there, Professor Dan Izebaye is here, Professor Abiola Jeji is there, Professor Ruth Imadijo is there, and quite a number of others. And the quite a number of other fellows are here. I can see Professor Sunday Dudu, I can see Professor Adibole Kola, Professor Noso, quite a number of, if I can't mention all of you, please forgive me. But 24th of July is another day where we're going to have another interesting session. Please join us for that session, and God bless. For members of the Academy, remember the convocation takes place on the 13th to 15th of August. For fellows, the fellows night is on the 13th. The convocation proper is on the 14th, and our annual AGM is on the 15th, all at the University of Lagos. Please plan to attend and be active in the activities. If there are other announcements, we'll get them on our usual platforms. Until then, God bless, and please enjoy the rest of your evening. Tayo, thanks so much.
Bye-bye.